Hi, very good morning. It's Jim from maverickstar. Out of curiosity this morning, I downloaded the latest version of Chat GPT, which is an artificial intelligence app you can have on your phone. And it cost £39. I thought, okay, give it a go. Let's see what this is all about. It's the first time I personally have, invested a little bit of inquisitiveness into that. We're going to get to something really big in a moment. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to call this video something along the lines of artificial intelligence and climate change. I want to include the words climate change because I'm hoping that YouTube are going to put the famous banner for climate where it states that climate change refers to CO2 mainly being put into the atmosphere by human activities, burning fossil fuels, yada yada yada. So I want to show you what the artificial intelligence have to say about this, and this is a slap in their face for making such apps like this, where the use of artificial intelligence will search for its database of information and select, intelligently information which just goes directly in the face of the United Nations. Stay tuned just a little while and I'll explain. So this morning I thought I'd put it to the test. So I asked it to create an image of our solar system using the 8 planets, and it did a good job of that. I says, okay, put Elon Musk's portrait in that image, and it did it straight away. I mean, that in itself is a very powerful tool. If you want to do really impressive, PowerPoint presentations and talks on specific subjects, it can quickly put images together for you that you can use for that. And you can boost the appearance of your presentation in lightning speed. You can put a really good presentation together. It will even write the presentation for you. It's that good. So I then asked it to, using C++, write a program for an Arduino to light an LED and specifically tell me what pins to use. So basically do all the work, for me. It did it in seconds, and it was accurate as well. It would have worked if I'd have typed it into, the Arduino software and then uploaded it to the Arduino. It would have lit the LED up. And that is it's the very simplest beginner's program. It's just to get you an idea of what you can start to do with an Arduino. You know what? It would write the magnetometer program for me if I asked it to. And I give it the specifics. And I told it the components. It would do it. I know that. So we don't need to be programmers anymore, clearly. All we need to do is copy and paste. And we can build any electronics we want now. That means you yourself that have no knowledge or very basic knowledge in this, you can write programs. This is going to put people out of work, that, in that own right. Okay, so I want to get to the point now of the big part of this video and why I want to share it with you. I asked this app, and this is the response it gave me. I'm hoping that you'll be able to, at some point read that. Hopefully it's clear and it's focusing on it. But if not, I'll read it out. I asked it to tell me how much CO2 was currently in the atmosphere and how much was man-made. So it says the natural source of carbon dioxide, CO2 emissions primarily include land and oceans degassing. It's estimated that the land and ocean degassing contribute to approximately 770 gigatons of CO2 per year to the Earth's atmosphere through natural processes such as volcanic activity, natural decay of organic matter. In contrast to human activities are responsible for emitting approximately 36 gigatons of CO2 per year, largely through the activities as the combustion of fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial processes. So this this artificial intelligence app has just put the United Nations right. And this absolutely proves 100% right that humans are not largely responsible for CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere. Because, as I've already been telling you for months and a lot longer than that, maybe years now, we're not the biggest contributors. Clearly, this artificial intelligent app has just proved that as well, reiterated what we already knew. But have a look at that. If they've been brave enough to put the climate change banner in there, it says, and it proves that they're lying, right? They're giving misinformation out and they're disinforming the general public. We already knew that, but this artificial intelligence is also knows that. Now, I'd like to see what they have to say about this at the United Nations. Is this what they're talking about? The power of AI and it being worrying in the fact that it might give disinformation? Because this is not disinformation, this is accurate information. There are 770 gigatons of CO2 emitted through natural processes, degassing through land and volcanic activity and degassing of oceans. 770 gigatons a year. But humans' contribution to that is 36 gigatons. That's a big change, and that just proves that that banner down there is misinformation and disinformation. And you know what? They deserve this. I mean, I'm just going to, over the next week or so, I'm going to just push this artificial intelligence to its limits. I already tried, and it had lack of information on what the best frequency was for electrolysis in splitting the water molecule. I asked it specifically for the best frequency, and the best it could offer me was, depending on the experiment, there is a variation of frequencies, and that this is such new technology, it is still ongoing, and the best frequency is yet to be identified. But it does understand that using frequency can offer better results. But we already know that, because this week we spent 2-3 days finding out what that best frequency was. This artificial intelligence says that the frequency range would be very high, and we know it's wrong in that respect. The frequency is very low. It's 42 hertz is the best frequency for using that in electrolysis, and it has to go directly to the plates in the tank, as we found, and you can't just bombard the water with the frequency. It has to go directly to the plates. So 42 hertz is the best frequency. The artificial intelligence didn't know that, or it had limited information in its databanks, and that's the problem with artificial intelligence. It's only smart enough to know what it already knows. So, you can't ask it to tell you how to build an anti-gravitic vehicle, something that floats using anti-gravitics. It just doesn't have the information to do that. But I guarantee you that there are things that this could do that could be very negative already. And I don't think that they quite know what they have unleashed. It's just down to the human brain. I give it that example. Give me 8 planets in the solar system, an image, and put Elon Musk's image in there, and it did it. No one was regulating that. It thought it's allowed it to just create it, and it did. And what I'm saying here is, it's just limited to what you ask it. And it will only be limited to what it is definitely not going to show you. So there will be some rules with this. They will control some parts of this, but it's what they haven't. What people? You see, the thing is, there's 8 billion people on this planet, and we all think differently. We all have different ideas. Some of them are extremely perverted ideas. Some of them are for the benefit of mankind. But the problem is, they won't have been able to program all of these things into this to regulate it. What I'm saying is, this is deregulated artificial intelligence, even though they think they've regulated it. Elon Musk is getting back to him. You know, he's concerned about the artificial intelligence, and so are them at Davos, because they know it can be used against them. And this is a prime example today of how artificial intelligence can be used against them. The artificial intelligence told us that there was 770 gigatons naturally emitted into the atmosphere, and that humans' contribution to that is 36 gigatons per year. So it proves straight away that the banner that they're most likely to put on this video today is inaccurate. You know, when I asked it to give me the quantity of CO2 in the atmosphere, it said 416 parts per million. You know, we measure it here at more than that. Sometimes it's around about 420 parts per million. It is falling. You know what? I could ask this artificial intelligence lots of questions about all sorts of things, and you know, it's going to come back with some pretty accurate results. So I'm quite impressed with it already, even only having it on the phone, on the app for a few moments. You know, what it's been able to do is just reiterate what I've been telling people for a long time. You know, we're using the highest level of advanced technology now, you know, to prove to you guys that what these people at the United Nations have been saying has been wrong all the time. And you know, people that have been telling you guys out there that the way in which science is being conducted at the moment to support their claims is nothing short of criminality. You know, it's sad that we are deliberately misinforming our future generations of children that are growing up thinking that man is responsible for changing the climate on the planet. You know, and that even the fact that, you know, CO2 is a trace gas and it could not possibly affect anything, let alone climate, you know, is being manipulated. And you have to ask, you know, I've tried to be reasonable about this, and I've tried to ask the question to myself, okay, what if then, you know, that the information that they're bringing out about CO2 causing climate change is wrong, what could possibly good come out of what they're doing? And the only thing that could possibly come out of what they're doing is the creation of jobs, even if these jobs are based on, you know, fraudulent information. You know, we are in a time, and I think the big crisis that we're facing at the moment is keeping 8 billion people around the world in employment so that we can all participate in the monetary system. That's not looking good at the moment because, you know, there is the cost of living crisis throughout the world. You know, and in some cases it's worse than others. And you know, if we look at these countries that have been suffering, like Brazil, for the last decade, you know, that's a possibility where we could be heading ourselves. You know, technology is removing the jobs. Clearly, I've just demonstrated that. I don't need a graphics designer to come up with the images. I don't need now somebody to program the electronics. And I probably could ask it what would be the best components to use and where can I source these, and it would tell me that. Guys, you could start making money off this using that artificial intelligence. You know, just by, you know, the thing is, you can ask it whatever you want. It's almost like rubbing the lamp and the genie comes out and granting you as many wishes as you want with regards to information and access to information. And in some respects, it'll do the work for you. It's incredibly powerful. I've got to say that. You know, would I recommend to you getting it? I will just say this, you know, I can find a lot of use for this. Not only what we've just done in the last hour, you know, it's a massive slap in the face for the United Nations and the European Union. We didn't ask this artificial intelligence yet about, you know, how much methane is in the atmosphere. We could do that now, couldn't we? Okay, let's just ask it that. With regards to CO2 in the atmosphere, how much methane is in the atmosphere? Let's see what it's come back with. Okay. As of the most recent data the concentration of methane, CH4, in the Earth's atmosphere is approximately 1,875 parts per billion. Methane is the second most prevalent greenhouse gas after carbon, CO2, and plays a significant role in the contribution to the Earth's greenhouse gas. Okay, let's ask it in parts per million then. In parts per million, how much methane is in the atmosphere? Okay, it's thinking about it. The concentration of methane, CH4, in the Earth's atmosphere is approximately 1,875 parts per million. Okay. In parts per million, what is the amount of methane in Earth's atmosphere? Okay, it doesn't seem to understand what I'm asking it because it keeps coming back with parts per billion, not parts per million. Oh, sorry, there's a decimal there now. So 1.875 parts per million. So methane, as we already know, is 200 times less abundant than CO2. And we know that the amount of CO2 that is emitted into the atmosphere majority comes from oceans and land, 770 gigatons. Man puts 36 gigatons, was it, into the atmosphere. Methane in parts per million is 1.8. Let's just say that at two significant figures. Compare that to CO2, 416 parts per million. We know that methane is less damaging to the atmosphere, and it's even less, 200 times less more of a trace gas than CO2. And of course, the European Union want to shut down and destroy agriculture across Europe. They're banning agriculture of animal cattle in 13 countries. Again, this artificial intelligence has just destroyed their model of what they're talking about. Some things for you to think about there, guys. We've got a couple of things coming over the next few days. We're going to I've made these, in this levitation experiment where we're going to use these speakers. You can see I've made the transducers, or those little piezo speakers, slightly parabolic. And that is to create like a dome wave pattern which meets the other dome, and of course when they clash into each other we get the standing wave, and we can do the levitation experiments just as a scientific experiment to show you. The other thing is just, I am just amazed by the level of technology. I had an old camcorder which stopped working a while ago, and I took the lens apart yesterday, ended up with lots of interesting components which I'll put in a box, because if you try to buy them, they would be expensive. We've got some good stepper motors which was used to adjust in the 6 lenses in this camera. But one of the interesting things was, I think it's a SIPM, I'm not 100% sure, and I think on this SIPM there was a little I don't know if you can see that. So it's actually made of 2 different layers. And I think that's a singular. And if this is a SIPM, then you would, and it was over the lens of the SIPM, silicon photomultiplier. Just have a look at that. Amazing. You see those little gold wires that come from the SIPM inside. And this is like 15 or maybe more years old technology. Can you imagine what they actually put in them now? But that little singular tuned crystal, so that the light can pass through into the reader chip here, I thought was just amazing. I'm going to keep that. I'll probably never be using it for anything, and I'm going to keep the singular as well, just because I find it amazing. I mean, you've seen ours. Our SIPMs are massive that we use for the muon detectors, and it's supposed to be one of the largest SIPMs on the market that you can buy. Maybe there is something else now, because technology moves along very fast. The other thing I found very interesting is the camera had an ability to detect whether it was falling, and it was to safeguard the electronics on board the camera. And this, I think, is that little component that does it. Now watch what happens when I turn it around just slightly, and we'll get an idea as to how this thing works. Okay, it seems to be stuck. Oh, there you go. See, it's flicking over. So it's obviously, that tells me it's got a magnet in there, and it's the compass basically. So as the phone, or they'll be in your phone as well now. In the new Apple phones, they've got this protection in them, and this will probably be a very, very smaller component in your phone. But you know, we could use this as a magneton, something to detect very slight magnetic adjustments. And look, it's even got the coil there, which we could connect up to, you know, a digital pin. So you know, we could detect the amount of movement as well. You know, this is the sort of thing that NASA build for their spacecraft that fly over planets. It's there they found out that Mars at some point had a magnetosphere, because it flew over a recent impact crater on the surface of the planet, and it had a device like this that was adjusting as it flew over there, because the magnetic influence went on that fresh impact crater allowed the spacecraft, using its very sensitive magnetometer, was able to pick up over that crater impact, you know, the magnetic influenced material. And you know, that's how we knew Mars had a magnetosphere at one point, and an active core generating magnetic poles. It doesn't anymore, but that's one of the pieces of equipment that they would have used, something like that. They would have probably, in fact, I do know that there was a guy in NASA that hand built the magnetometers that went on that spacecraft himself, using the same sort of technology that they use with the crystals in watches. You know, that he was using that as a bearing for the actual, you know, magnet that was placed on top. And of course there was a coil around it, so you know, some feedback could come from it. But I find things like that very interesting, and I do take things apart just to see how they work, because I'm very inquisitive like that. But main thing about this video today, guys, is that, you know, using artificial intelligence, you can pull the pants down on even the United Nations, and that's exactly what we've done. So have a good laugh if YouTube have put the climate change banner down there, and you know, you might want to consider getting yourself that chat GPT version 4 yourself. You know, it might even start making money for you, who knows. Guys, link down there in the description if you want to help support us. We're trying to raise a few quid next so that we can take our HHO generator to the next level. The plates that we like are a bit sporty. They're about £8 each, or a little bit more than that. You can go on YouTube and see for yourselves. 10 by 10 with laser cut holes in them, so we can just quickly assemble it. We've got to do no drilling. They're about £8 each, and we want around 40 of those. So, you know, if you want to help as part towards that, you know, again, all what we do gets shown back to you. And, you know, if there is a discovery to make here, if we can get a vehicle or an engine to run with it, we're all going to benefit from this. I think that that's what it's all about these days, is about benefiting as a whole, as opposed to just benefiting as one. That's, you know, that's why my outlook has changed over the last couple of years. I no longer am interested in, I think I've given up on the idea of being ever a millionaire. It's never going to happen. You know, if it was, I would have already done it by now. So, you know, what else then can I do that others can benefit from? And that is just share what I know, and share what, you know, I discover with you freely. And that means no patents. I don't care at the end of the day. I found this, you know, I get more back from helping others. And, you know, I don't necessarily need to charge people for that. Anyhow, I'm going to end the video here. Links down in the description. Take care of your loved ones as always. Bye for now.